FAO Schwarz is a magical store. On 58th Street, just east of Fifth Avenue, there's a sight to behold, a magical sight. 5 30-foot high windows, 16 feet wide, filled with extraordinary creatures. These are all from the Nutcracker, featuring Barbie. There are 20 miles of fiber optic lights, 31 characters, 50 movements, and a lot of pressure on Tom Crossman, FAO's creative director.
In Manhattan, it's sort of the time when the visual people really put their all into a major production. There is a feeling of competition between the different stores. It's a huge percentage of the year's budget.
This year, Tom's banking his success on the #1 selling toy.
Barbie, the ultimate toy. She's in her first feature-length movie, Barbie and the Nutcracker. Barbie is very, very important to us, and it's also mixing it with a classic Christmas tales.
It was left up to Randy Buck, FAO's visual director, to find a good sculptor capable of creating a perfect Barbie, as well as the 30 other characters in the scenes.
We chose Hilda to work on all the characters because she has a unique method of working. She's working with a soft foam character that can move. There's a lot of animation that we're doing, so these characters need to work like puppets.
Hilda Borum began her career as a puppeteer in Brazil. Here at her studios in New York, she starts with a shapeless block of foam and, using a bandsaw, cuts out the front, the back, and profile of the character.
I use foam rubber because it's durable and flexible.
Once she has formed the rough outline, Hilda will start to refine it using hand tools. An electric knife, the type used to carve a turkey, speeds up the process. Smaller knife-like tools help to create the finer details of the face. Hilda is creating the exhibit's prints, and her reference is the doll Ken. It is important for her sculpture to be to scale.
Make all the details and then sand the piece.
While Hilda works on this character, members of her team are hard at work at creating other characters. Her studio looks a bit unusual, with arms and legs, torsos and heads, hanging from clotheslines in various stages of completion.
After you finish the sculpting, you latex because you have to cover the foam with something flexible to not crack. You put latex, you sand a little bit more, and you put the latex to get to a point, get smooth. I cannot see the foam anymore. They look like plaster. And then after that, you paint.
As the sculptures become more lifelike, it is time to animate them. This is where animator Brett Kaler comes in.
We're doing pneumatic animations, which run off air pressure. They have a valve, which tells the cylinder whether to retract or extend, and then a timer that tells the valve when it should extend or retract the cylinder. The cylinders are arranged where they need to be, almost as if it were a muscle.
Brett attended Rhode Island School of Design and has a degree in sculpture, which he says helps him to work with Hilda.
Yeah, that looks good.
That looks real now, huh?
Yeah, that's nice.
All of the figures are cut into pieces, then assembled back together around metal frames. Foam works very well for this purpose because it's flexible and light.
Looks very good.
Yeah, I think this whole arrangement here worked out. There's only really one movement, but once the whole thing's moving, it looks really good.
Yeah, that's nice. That's great. Nice. It's nice, see the gap. It's like
Yeah, I think
it's like here, right?
While the characters are under production at Hilda Borum's studio, the sets, props, and scenery are feverishly being worked on at the FAO Schwarz visual studio nearby.
The fairies were made using a process of mold making, which we used actual Barbies, and repositioned them into different poses, molded them, and then took those molds and used them to pour dyed resin, clear plastic. They have wigs. The fairies have like a foliage on them. They have a holographic glitter, which when they're animated also animates and sparkly. They have an Austrian crystal adornment on the dress that catches the light in a very effective way. The fiber optics are a huge part of these windows. They're in every scene. They play as an important role as the characters in the scene because they're also providing a huge part of the animation. It's an intense undertaking that has to be done by hand. There's thousands of wires for each sculpture, and these all have to be hand-fed and coordinated point to point.
The finishing touches are applied to the characters.
Shiny. Put nail polish on her lips to make them shiny, on her teeth to make them shiny. Put false eyelashes on her, super glue them down so they don't come up later. And I want you to put a little Austrian crystal in the corner of the eye there so that when she moves they sparkle.
And the scenery.
I am airbrushing moonlight coming down over this tree. I'm like rays of moonlight.
The timing on a project like this is critical. As opening night approaches, everyone begins to feel the pressure.
We're now about 4 days from installation, and we still have a lot to do. Still have a lot to do. Are we ready for the roof?
Next, we'll watch as Tom and his crew work through the night to finish